The Fulton County Manager, Dick Anderson, has been providing those updates firsthand, and he's back to join us on this special edition of Fulton Today. Sir, welcome back.
Hi, Shania, and thank you for having me once again.
We will get to the pandemic response in just a moment, but first, let's talk about the civil unrest that has erupted in Atlanta and across the country. How has Fulton County been impacted?
Well, I think we were all saddened by the events in Minneapolis, and certainly by the unrest that's been evident across the country, but specifically in our hometown of Atlanta and Fulton County. Fortunately, we have not suffered much damage to any county facilities. Most importantly, none of our employees have been hurt, but we are very interested in progress being made. So I think our elected officials are listening closely to what folks are saying, preparing to act in a variety of ways. And from a county operations perspective, we did delay our administrative office openings. And I think operating in a safety first principle, which we've been throughout the COVID-19 crisis, that was the appropriate thing to do.
And now let's deal with COVID-19. Any updates from the COVID-19 trends?
Yes, as we've reported before, we have truly flattened the curve in Fulton County. So we have ample hospital capacity in all different aspects of beds, ventilators, and the like. We've also seen a downturn in the number of folks in the hospital, as well as the percent of people who are testing positive at any of our testing centers. The only thing that's slightly concerning is an uptick in the number of folks that represent new cases. So we are watching that closely and are concerned. So that does really argue for all of us continuing to do everything we can possible in terms of social distancing, hand hygiene and the like, to keep as much of the virus under control as possible.
And sir, have we made progress in testing?
Well, testing is where we've placed a huge amount of emphasis. We've tested over 125,000 residents of Fulton County, and that's very significant. In fact, it represents a fourth to a third of what has been tested in the entire state of Georgia. So we're doing more than our fair share. However, what we want to do is really emphasize to residents now through a creative marketing campaign and community outreach program about why they need to be tested. And in fact, the theme of the campaign is Fulton Needs You. And then it really spins off from there. Certainly we need you to be tested, but ultimately we need you to come back to work. We need you to visit restaurants. We need you to go back to church. So you'll see, I think, one of the most creative campaigns that a government has ever run in terms of marketing, messaging, using social media to really emphasize to our residents why this is important, but also how convenient it is. And oh, by the way, it's free. So it's I think one of the strongest messages that we can have at this point in this crisis, and you'll be seeing that in very short order.
Mr. Manager, are we still planning to open the tax commissioner's offices on June 15? You know, folks really want to know that.
Yes, we've been working very closely with our tax commissioner, Dr. Ferdinand, and his entire team. And obviously, this is a critical function that many of our residents are apprehensive about due to the date of vehicle tag expirations. We've also appealed to the governor's office to extend those tag expirations. Not sure if that'll be granted or not. We're planning to open those offices on June the 15th. And we're going to open all of them simultaneously. And in addition to that, have extended hours and even Saturday hours at a couple of the locations at Greenbrier Mall and at Maxwell Road. So we believe that if the citizens are using the kiosks, they're using all their online options, and if they realize that all of our offices are open, they will be able to handle the initial crowds. But we would suggest that everyone just simply be patient, observe again the social distancing requirements that we'll have in place, and realize that we're here to serve you. Again, Dr. Ferdinand and his team have done a great job preparing for this opening, very thoughtful in doing so, and I believe this will be very successful when we open.
And for the Board of Commissioners, did the BOC approve any new initiatives at its June regular meeting?
Yes, the board approved another $9 million package for community support. And the reason that that's so important and so significant is at the onset of this crisis, we approved a $10 million package to support our community. And it ranged from everything from food support for seniors to income insecurity to small business loans. And as this crisis is clearly not over, and as we look forward, emerging trends are already developing where we need to renew some of those programs, support some of those community partners that already are in the fight on the front line supporting our citizens, as well as develop new initiatives. The board approved another $9 million, so effectively doubling our commitment in terms of community support, and with some new initiatives like job training, as we think about folks going back to work, displaced from their previous job, now looking for new employment. That'll be critical and important. A new initiative focused specifically on the artist community, which have been particularly hard hit, that we think they can develop programs that will also benefit all of our citizens, so it'll be a win-win. So I'm very pleased to see that the board has approved that second round of funding. In addition to that, the board approved $2.5 million in support of our municipalities. We know that they have encountered additional expenses as they are dealing with COVID-19 in their municipalities, and we will be supporting them with financial support immediately, but then also personal protective equipment that we will be acquiring and then allocating to them on a going forward basis. So those two very significant initiatives were approved, and again, we look forward to supporting our communities and our municipalities with those incremental resources.
Fulton County Manager Dick Anderson, always a pleasure having you. Thank you so much for your time.
Well, Shania, thank you. I really appreciate being with you and being able to speak to you and your audience. I'm sure we'll have more information in the future, and there's never been a time like this. So again, we appreciate the ability to communicate directly and have these questions asked and answered.